Hey, everybody, welcome back to Gardens, the Untold Story. I'm Ken Somerville, my co host Andy Lopez, the Invisible Gardener. We're done going through Andy's book, and now we're on a new set of titles that Andy has come up with. And this one, Electrical Gardening. And I've got everything set up, and he sends me a text going, well, maybe we should call it, cosmic gardening or something like that. But anyway, electrical gardening it ended up being because I didn't have the time to change it, guys. So I hope you guys enjoy this show. Uh, electrical gardening, we have so much that is electrical in the entire system, or as we call it, energy, frequency, vibration. But Andy, I think you have a specific direction that you wanted to
I
go.
always do, brother. I always do, brother. I'm never within the media, the norm, because the electrical gardening out there, what people are doing now, it's not batshit crazy, but it's basically you get antennas and you try to channel the energy into the soil, right, and make the plants grow. But today I'm going to tell you my take on this whole thing, because of course my take is what really is going on. I mean, you don't need antennas to channel the energy into the soil. And you know how the energy gets channeled into the soil? While we're talking to you about that, I'll tell you what I know, because for me it's real. I don't have to put antennas on my property to channel the energy. Well, that's what it is, an antenna. Copper. It picks it up from the air, and guess what?
Yeah.
Well, Mother Nature has been doing it. That's why I call it cosmic gardening or energetic gardening, because Mother Nature's been doing it before human beings have been here, and after human beings, Mother Nature will continue doing that, and that's the whole principle of how everything works. So, in other words, you don't need an antenna. So if something's wrong, your property's not growing well, you can say, well, we need an antenna in order to channel the energy, and everything will be fine. Forget about the biology. Forget about everything else. Just put an antenna out there, and the plants to be like, "Oh yeah, I'm energetic," right? That is not the way it works, and it does work to some extent because you're forcing the energy down in there. But there's a natural way that Mother Nature does that. I'm sure you understand. You know what that is?
Well, roots in the soil and leaves facing the sun and drawing energy in. But I don't know if you've heard of oh my gosh, I want to say origami, but organite, which these people, you put a bunch of metal into a mold with the stuff they use on floors. Anyway, you get a hard surface, and that energy is supposed to be drawn in, like you said, through the metal from the atmosphere and drawn in, and it's supposed to really help. And I've seen videos that yes, it definitely does help. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, okay, I'm driving a sports car, but I want to go to the racetrack, so I got to change tires. It's more of, an accessory that you're adding, not a necessity, but an accessory.
Look. So what I've been doing pretty much all my life is multitasking in different areas because they're all the same area. I
Yeah,
mean, when I learned about Bach flower remedies, I do gem elixirs. You know what gems and crystals are?
yeah,
All these things are energy receivers and transmitters, but
yeah,
organic energy pyramids, right? So there are, and the reason why it's called organic pyramids is because Wilhelm Reich invented a system called, and he calls it argon energy. There you
yeah,
go. Right. And so he would make an argon generator. Basically, it would just catch everything and then transmit it out.
yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool because I learned from experience crystals, gem, rubies, diamonds, whatever. They all, and you know what they take in, right? They take in, I call it cosmic energy because the universe is full of energy and it gets transmitted out. Like right now, the sun is spitting stuff out of us. Right? We're getting hit by plasma, right?
Yeah.
Plasma that if it wasn't for the Earth's magnetic field and all that stuff that protects us, we will be fried.
Yeah.
It still comes through. There are other things that come through there, and we absorb it in so many different ways. One of the things that's interesting is that we're water, and Mother Nature has water, and it's a water planet. And so, I talk about structured water all the time, because it. That's how Mother Nature is so cool, because if you watch it, if you're a good gardener, you understand how energy works. And if you understand how energy works, not just for plants and trees, but animals, insects, everything works on the same way. There's no way they can be separated. Hi, cousin. See what I mean? And so I look at it as, if your plants are sick and stuff like that, you get an antenna. Yeah, it increases it a little bit because it helps. The plants normally are able to absorb that energy, and there's a reason why they're not. And it goes back down to the solar biology works with what? It starts with TM. 2 words, TM. What does that mean? Come on, can't you do it? You can do it.
TM, like I'm thinking TNT myself. That's what it popped into my head.
T, capital T and a capital M. You can do it, man. Listen, I see you thinking. I see that little mind thinking.
True mushrooms.
Oh,
there you go. True mushrooms.
Trace minerals.
Oh,
trace minerals. And so
Uh-huh.
I've always said the reason why we eat food is to get the trace minerals in it. But the real reason why we want those trace minerals is because each trace minerals absorbs a different energy. When we're bombarded by so many different forms of energy, we don't understand 99% of it, right? Because there's energy that comes from other galaxies, comes through here, right? Like when the sun does this thing, or a supernova goes whoosh, it sends out that energy not just in our solar system.
Microbes. Yeah, actually, I like that one, man. I really like that, VA Green.
So did you know that when a sun goes, when you're looking at the sky and the astrologer says, this sun just went nova, and that's like billions of light years away, and that energy is hitting us, it's going to keep on going through all the solar systems and all the solar system and all the solar systems, right? And so we have been living in this energy field. We are evolved in it. The earth, life is evolved in this energy field. Take away that energy field, and we're FUCK, right? ED, right? And so, to me, what I see is going on is that when I look at, so I'm an arborist, right? So I look at trees. What is a tree?
A huge solar collector.
You got it. It's a big antenna. It doesn't work if it doesn't have the trace mineral. The root systems, without the trace minerals, everything flows through, and the tree's going, I am starving here. I'm not getting anything, right? It's a big antenna. The way you heal a tree, a lot better. I'm just finishing my argument tonight. What did she say?
Lily was asking her how she was feeling. Serena was sick last week, so and this was the one I was actually supposed to be clicking on, is energy, frequency, and vibration, Nikola Tesla, and not the Tesla cars. We're going to, Nikola Tesla.
I have the autobiography biography of Nikola Tesla. It's really cool. It's all about energy, frequency, right? And he developed a power that collects that energy that flows through the earth and can use it now for powering vehicles, powering other things. Because we live in a field of energy. And
most people call it the Schumann resonance, and that's the energy, frequency, and vibration that our planet is living with. That's the universal energy, and it's trackable.
There are many different frequencies, many different resonances. That Schumann resonance is basically a planetary, each planet, the moon, the sun, Mars, Venus, all have a separate resonance. But there's one major big resonance that we're all resonating at. But there are different things that we are bombarded with, and the reason we eat trace minerals is to get this energy. So we're cosmic beings. We have to get this energy. You see what I'm saying? And so
I think actually let me see you see what you're saying, but I think what you're saying is if we're missing those trace minerals, then some of those frequencies that are coming through, some of that energy that's coming through, we're not getting in our bodies or in our plants because we're missing these trace minerals. Is that what you're getting to, Andy?
Exactly right. So when a tree is missing those trace minerals, it's not a complete being, and it will get sick. And then Mother Nature says, let's recycle it. Let's see what I have an oily dose last night. Tonight is my final dose. Augmentin. What are some things I can do to prevent the from coming back? Well, this is not a medical thing. I'm happy to help you with that. But remember, we shouldn't be giving advice for medicine. But it's, for me, I would say you're missing a trace mineral in your body because that's the key. That's what you really need to look at. And it's not as simple as, see, we're so used to, we can't be grounded, right? We're so used to use this for that. Like in the gardening, spray this, solves your problem, right? Forget about the real cost. So when you get pneumonia or you get anything wrong with your body, tells me, okay, so your biomine, your stomach is not functioning correct. A friend of mine told me it's not what you eat, it's what you absorb. Mm-hmm. And so if you miss a certain trace minerals, that function that the body needs that for is missing, and which opens you right up to other things happening to your body that you really don't want. See, so that's what it comes down to, is like, so I would personally, so it means that you're not getting it from your food, which is what you should be getting, because they're not getting it. That's why 96 trace minerals are so important, because you miss one trace mineral. And it's the same thing with plants, trees, insects. It's all revolving around your trace minerals. And when you have all the trace minerals, you have a certain frequency, because all these together become a symphony of frequencies. And that frequency is your song. See what I'm saying? If that song is off, then the whole universe will go, or plant, in our case, your body and other things, because of diseases and pests. But we have diseases and pests ourselves. And they're all geared. It's just like with the trees. These pests that tree doesn't sound right? That tree is not. So we're going to, boom. So it's the same thing with our body. If we don't, and the aura, your human aura, tell us it, because the insects have a built-in refractor, and diseases and things like this have a built-in energy thing that they can see. Oh, let's go after it. So you have a weakness in your system. Your shield has a weak spot. In Star Trek, shoot for the weak spot.
I do want to mention that because you have been on antibiotics, etc., it has really harmed your gut microflora. So you're going to need to do something, get some prebiotics, some probiotics into you to start rebuilding that microbiome in your stomach, right. Which is going to help you heal, etc.
Right. So one of the things I recommend, I've been talking about on and off forever, it's called Sun Corella. I've been doing Sun Corella for 50, 60 years. I keep saying 55 years for the last 20 years. So it's probably when I got out of the service in 21, I was
Kiefer. Yeah.
So there are lots of things you can do, but the reason why I like Sun Corella is because it has close to 90 trace minerals already in it. It also, what it really does is refluorides your stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Because chlorophyll is the closest thing to the human blood that you look under a microscope, it's the same. It looks the same, except one's red and one's green. Okay? See what I mean? And
I think there's a molecule or two difference there.
Yeah, right. It's the same. It's really close. And when you get that chlorophyll in your body, it will help you to start start to function. But you're still missing the one thing that's missing is you have to get the trace minerals from what you eat. So you can be taking trace mineral supplements all you want to, but if your body's absorbing it, it'll get some of it. But I keep telling people 96 trace minerals, human beings can only manufacture 90 of them. 90. So there's 6 of them that only the soil biology can create. Nothing else. You can be a chemist all you want to. People can argue with me all they want to. Oh yeah, I take this mineral, I take that mineral, I take this mineral. If it's made by man, it's going to be missing those 6 trace minerals. Only the biology that in the soil can be made. The trace minerals, those 6 trace minerals can only be made by these specific biology in the soil. And it was met generation after generation, how long we've been living here. And it comes down to, that's why, I'm not a heavy meat eater, but in the past, that's why we eat meat, because the animal has the stomach that will take that, and we can use, but it takes it from the soil. It has to eat the stuff, right?
Do you have a package of your sun chlorella? I know my packages are all upstairs, so
I don't have it handy here, but it's called sun chlorella.
Lily, if you want to, grab me a package or type in the proper spelling into the chat. Goat Head Gardens.
Sun. Let me just type it in for you, okay? It's called Sun, SUN CHORE. Oh, CHOR. My spelling is wrong. CHORELA. I think I got it right.
Okay,
Chlorella.
Actually, Lily's got it as
LLA, right? 2 A.
Hold on. Here we go.
There you go.
The color is green in our green back rooms, but I don't know if you can get there.
This was brought to you.
CHLORELLO.
Right. So Dr. Bernard Jensen went to Japan. He says, I really want to know how you, as a civilization, you survived atomic bomb explosion. What are you eating? We're eating chlorella, they said.
Yeah.
Okay. From the ocean. But chlorella, you have to eat a lot of it because your body is not going to absorb it. Your body can't break it. So this guy, Dr. Bernard Jensen, he has this factory here in Torrance. It's called Broken Cell Technology. He created that. So lots of places on the market you can buy sun chlorella, but it's not broken cell technology. You can eat the whole bag and you only get a small amount. This stuff, you get 99%. Your body instantly absorbs the thing. See what I mean? Yeah. And that refluorides your stomach and helps you, but you still have to eat the right foods. You still have to eat organic. You can't eat junk food. I have a friend that's just stayed here for a little while, and his mother was always telling him about. Now he eats things that do not have the essential elements that you need to be healthy. Dementia is a perfect example of that, and other things that so-called, you take drugs to do other stuff. In reality, they only mask. They do not solve the problem, which is you have to either you have to grow it or buy it from somebody who knows how to grow it, so you can have the trace minerals. We talked about a refractometer once, how it measures the sugar levels, which is also the Brix level, which also has to do with trace minerals. Everything. It's really not a coincidence that everything revolves around these trace minerals. Mother Nature has, in our evolutionary process, figured out a way to get these cosmic energies into us through the trace minerals. Because if we didn't have that, we wouldn't have the cosmic energy that we need. We need that for many, many reasons. I mean, physically, it's just one aspect of it, okay? Physically, it's like all these trace minerals function and our body's healthy, right? Yeah. And that's why I like calling it cosmic gardening rather than electrical gardening, because if you look, I don't know what's the last time you were sitting out in this. Well, just recently, we had 7 planets aligned. We had all this energy that we're getting. We haven't had this energy since 11,000 years ago, when everybody was doing the same thing that we're doing now. And then we had a big comet come through, and we went through that comet field, the comet tail. The comet went between the sun and the moon, and the Earth went right through that comet tail and bombarded the whole Earth. We're constantly being bombarded with cosmic rays. Everything's happening all the time on a regular basis. I don't have a shield enough to stop it. Why wouldn't I stop it? I stand there and I go, oh yeah, rotate. Right?
We've talked about quarks on this show before.
Yeah. And so there are so many different reality things in the ground that have the ability to concentrate and hold it. So and they give it off. So the gems, you name a gem, ruby, emerald, diamonds, they give it up. Quartz are very interesting because it's a certain frequency that allows you visually to see it. You can see the energy that it gives off. Oh, I mean, for me, I see all the different energy, all the different crystals and stuff. That's why I do gem elixirs, which is a way. I just see when I studied Bach flower remedies, which is a way to take a plant that's doing something really good for your body. I know that plant was a weed, and that weed was collecting these trace minerals. So this doctor says, oh, I'm going to take that plant and transfer the energy, the cosmic energy, over to this one. See, right? Because of the frequency, you can transplant. And the reason why you can transfer is because water, it's called structured water. We're going to be talking about down the road. The reason why it's called structured water, because it's structured. Normally, human beings are very weird. They unstructure it. The city, anything that has a right angle, where do you see water flowing in the right angle, right? It doesn't. So Mother Nature, even when a river flows, you ever see how it swirls, right? It's structured. The whole thing is structured because I was reading about the Hindus, the Vedics that go back for thousands of years. They were talking about quantum fields and quantum energy just by tapping into the water. You can read and write. So I look at this water like a hard drive. Okay.
Yeah.
A hard drive is structured because that's how you can write to it, right? If you put a magnet near that, it's just right. So it's structured, and the reason why it's structured, like for example, I have magnets. Okay, I have these wonderful magnets, which are basically they don't have a north pole, just like us. We don't have a north pole and a south pole. Okay, but we're magnetic beings, and magnetism is just one of the energy, one of the electromagnetic fields. There's literally one for each element. There are 96 elements. There are 96 different fields, not 96 different frequencies.
It's right? Just like our body. Like our heart is under quite a little bit of a different frequency. Our liver, our spleen, it's all a little bit different.
Yeah, right. So when I do healing for people, I've learned that 252 is for your heart. 584 is for your pineal gland. That means that your body listens, your organs listens to those things. See, everybody knows about the chakras, right? There's supposed to be 8 chakras, right? Well, there are 108 of them. There are 108. They call it chakras, which means energy centers. Okay, right? You know, there are literally what's it say?
So cosmic gardening is not necessarily electroculture then, because there's a lot of people talking about electroculture. This goes beyond that.
Right, it's beyond that, because the electroculture is like saying, I'm a doctor, take this pill. See? The doctor should say there's an underlying cause of your problem. The underlying cause is so electroculture is we're trying to get that energy back into the ground, assuming that it's going to fix the problem. And it does help to some extent because they can't do that without the trace minerals. So even when you get into the ground, there's so many different combinations of minerals and stuff in there. Some of it's going to stick, but normally the plants, that's why they're above ground. They themselves are antennas. All the plants, all the leaves, trees, everything that's above ground is an antenna. The only thing, the difference between lots of animals and stuff, they're not grounded. There's a whole science about how to ground yourself, right? Being grounded. And the reason why so I have to relax because this is exciting. I really love talking about this stuff. So I see people get grounded all the time. They think they're getting grounded. But man, if you don't have the trace minerals in your body, you're not going to get grounded. So your brain says, I'm getting grounded, I'm healing.
Yeah.
You don't need these devices to get grounded. You get grounded because you have the trace minerals in your body, which allows you to get grounded. Yes, right. Exactly right. Not only but that's the whole key. See, it's all connected. It's all about the biology. The biology lives on energy. We have evolved in an energetic field. If we're missing, so I see energy as color. So if we're missing a certain color, that's why when you do color therapy, you get that color. The doctor will say you need some blue. Well, what do you think blue is? A certain electromagnetic field that responds to a certain frequency, and certain parts of your body responds to that frequency. Well, you can go out there and get a gem, a rock, anything that has the same frequency, and you'll get the same healing. See, right? You'll get the same energy. So a lot of times in healing, your body's missing. So when I do a healing for people, I automatically know what color you are, and therefore what color you should be, right? And here, take this
black today, you know.
Take this gem and make a liquid out of it and drink it. So you're going to get that trace mineral in your body, not necessarily the trace mineral, but the frequency of that trace mineral. But you still have to eat right. In other words, you can eat all the color and the frequency you want, but you don't eat your food, you're going to die. Right? Am I wrong? Oh,
exactly. Yeah, I actually let's hit Farmer Cheryl's question here. How does chlorella differ from spirulina? And can they be substituted for each other?
No, the spirulina is a different creature entirely. The sun chlorella is a blue-green algae. Spirulina is a green algae. There's the color, blue-green. See? That blue-green is a certain different frequency entirely. So the chlorella, when it's doing its thing, it's absorbing the blue frequency, the blue-green frequency together. In nature, so one of the things I've learned when I'm doing my business, you see how these green lawns, right? I know they're using chemicals because the way energy should be in nature, it's a blue-green color, not a green color. It's blue-green. When I look at it, it's blue-green. Wow, that's naturally done. But when it's green, you're missing that blue. And you can eat all the green you want to, your body's still missing the blue color. The blue-green together harmonizes with what you genetically need, but you still need to eat.
And you know, we have a lot of people that use grow lights on our channel for different growing plants that they're growing, and they found that we were always using one type of light, and then we changed into different lights, and now we're finding out that each frequency we're missing the blue frequencies, and then we were missing the ultraviolets and the reds, and all of a sudden it's like, oh well, it isn't just one frequency, it's this multi dimensional thing.
That's what sunlight is.
Yeah,
the sunlight is a multiple. It's a combination of all these colors.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a combination of all these colors. If you're missing the blue spectrum, because the blue spectrum happens to be equal, in my opinion, to a certain trace minerals. and like I said, you can eat the blue. So in this case, you are actually eating something. Okay, you're eating the blue-green algae, the chlorella. You're actually getting into your body. And your body say, "Oh, wow, great!" But you can't really survive on that alone, because we didn't grow up just eating blue-green algae, right? You know what I mean? We're not a cow. A cow would love to eat blue-green algae, right? Animals would, but because we're a different, higher plane of being, we have to eat our stomach is made. Astronauts have found out if they go out in space for too long, their stomach starts to break down and they have problems. No matter what you eat, you can eat it in a paste, and whatever you want to eat. So we have evolved to where we have to eat food, and the food for us has to be in a way that it can be broken down, because that's the way our biology system has been made, so they can break it down. And the same thing with the soil biology. You can't be giving them blue-green algae and then they'll be happy, because they need it. They have evolved to eat in so many different ways, food in so many different ways, you see. And so the whole electoral culture is, again, not addressing the real reason why your plants are not doing well. So in other words, if you think that you can get an antenna and forget about the soil biology, stick in the ground, and the things are going to grow really well, you're mistaken. Probably, my guess is, you don't have sterile soil. You've been doing something, even if it's not perfect, but you've been doing something that's increasing their biology in your soil, right? You know what I mean? And so that would work to some extent because the biology would start to get what they need, and then they pass it on to the trees. You know what I mean? So the more biology you have in your soil, the more roots in the ground, more boots in the ground you have, the greater the effect will be. And
Well, the more chances you're going to have of getting those trace minerals out of the soil structure. But I wanted to look at this. What about the green lights we used to think were safe at night? Because there's a lot of crops where you want to go in and look at the crops, but if the lights are on, it's affecting, and the green light was supposed to not affect, and that's just it. It's a certain bandwidth that, of the plant and the biology in the plant that is not going to be affected by the green light, and that's why the green light is being used. But in nature, your plant is getting that green light. It's just not activating certain parts of the plant to do things you don't want to do.
The other thing
that makes sense.
The other thing is that we are constantly generating negative energy. I call it negative energy. Constantly, Wi-Fi, all these other things that we're doing, from nuclear power, right? The electromagnetic field. We have so much things that Mother Nature goes, "What the heck is that? What are you doing?" Right? And then the biology goes, "What the heck is that?" Because we have not evolved to be doing these frequencies, right? These frequencies are very bad for us overall, because one of the things that happen is that we don't get it. Literally blocks us from getting the biology, the energy that we need. And so we have to realize that if you make good compost, decent compost, and then you don't really need the antenna to make it work. But if you use the antenna, what it does is help breaks through the field that you have, that you're surrounded with all this stuff. That's what it does. All these fields break up the energy. So when a cosmic being is shooting through, then you have this field. It's just like, look at the Earth. When the cosmic being hits the Earth, it goes around, right? Majority of it tends to go around. That's what happens when we living in a negative environment. We don't get these beams that come through here because we go whoosh. Some of them will get through. Most of them will go like that. Mother Nature has ways of showing you what really is going on with your body, because you ever watch some of these channels where they see where the sun blows up and this thing is coming and then it goes around the Earth, right?
Yeah.
So we have an electromagnetic field around our body, very similar to the Earth. The Earth is like really big, but we have our own little electromagnetic field. So when our electromagnetic field gets penetrated, because normally it makes things go around, right? Normally we don't make things go around. Normally right? We absorb it, right? But we have to protect ourselves from Wi-Fi. That's 6. We're up to 6 now, right? There's 5G.
6G. Yeah.
6G. These were military developed. They were military grade developed, because not all the frequencies are good for us, right? We're lucky we haven't been bombarded with something that'll kill everyone's life, right?
Well, and the thing is that, like, Rick is talking about the electroculture helps in that the extra electrons feed the biology, and the radio frequencies that we deal with. I think that's one of the reasons that electroculture really has come into, the sphere of growing plants, is because it is adding, it's breaking through, it's drawing through the different,
the negative
fields. Yeah. So I don't, we're not trying to say electroculture is bad and you shouldn't be doing it. We would hope someday in the future we don't need to do it, because those fields are depleted and we're all nice and healthy. But this is one of the things.
Let me explain something else. Okay, so I myself don't make these really interesting receivers. I don't use the coil and wrap it around. I don't have to, because I realize that once you start to so I do a combination of things. Okay, so when I protect my body from using the cell phone, for example, okay, I've learned that there's things I can do to protect my body from getting bombarded with these cells. There's things you can do to your property from getting bombarded by these negative cells. The wiring device is man-made. Imagine if you could use nature's way. Nature's made. That's one reason why, for example, if you have property with giant crystals, right, on the big crystal stones everywhere, well, guess what that does, right?
Draws a lot of energy.
And it makes our man-made energy around. So one of the things I learned about music, right, sound and frequency, you can send out these frequencies which counteracts those frequencies. So you can read a lot about music and plants and music and gardening, right? And so you're generating a frequency that's canceling out the bad frequency and allowing the good frequency in from Mother Nature. See? To me, that is better than creating antennas to do that. And the antenna is not as good as Mother Nature. She's been making antennas for a long time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've learned from experience. So that's one reason why when I go to people's houses, I look at the tree. The tree is the biggest antenna they got on the whole place, right? You know, and if that antenna is working, and usually when they call me, the antenna is not working. The whole field of the property is not working. But if that antenna on the tree is like, hit me, the whole property will be protected more from those negative fields. You see, so that to me is a more natural way of doing it. But you can do that all you want to set up little antennas, but you still you have to have an antenna so big and so powerful that you have a big one, giant one, because you're going to have a lot of it. That's why they make it for little container plants in the house. In the house, these poor creatures are being bombarded, as we are being bombarded with all kinds of electromagnetic fields that are not natural. They're not meant to be. See? And so that's how it protects those plants, and that's how it protects you. But you're better off to understand that Mother Nature has developed all these ways, and that's what you want to do. That's exactly what you want. You want to get Mother Nature to help you bombard. That's why you don't want to take your cell phone out to the garden. Hey, you want some of this? You know, it's bad enough. Yeah. I have a shield around my phone, a lead shield around my phone, which stops it from getting anywhere near me. I do not put it near my brain. If you read the warnings and when you buy the phone, look at the little fine print that's in there. It says about this device. Do not put it up to your head. It says it clearly, little letters. Do not put it up to your head, right? Because you know, pineal gland, if that gets screwed up, you're screwed up. You're not going to be able to process the energy and spread it out through your body. That's why sound. That's why if you want to do anything to ground your property, to allow the energy, do the sound. You can play. You can go out and have speakers and flooded with sound, or you can do things like a lot of people do. They have the tuning bells, and you know that's why in some countries you have the bells that they ring. All kinds of things that you can produce, flutes, music, drums. All these produces sound which counteract the negative sound and it neutralizes them. But you still need to eat properly. You still need to take. In other words, you can't go out and buy genetically modified seeds and expect it to when you put your little antenna that it's going to solve your problem.
Yeah.
And basalt rock, for example, this one here is absolutely correct, Rick Easley.
Yeah,
because that's what so you'll find a lot of these rocks are paramagnetic. Paramagnetic. That means it doesn't have a north and a south pole, just like us. And so the energy around it is more compatible with what we want. So you can have these rocks. Basically, there's so many different types of rocks you can put around. And what a lot of people have done, and I myself sometimes, if I have the space to do it, you can take the crushed rock, you put that in with your soil, you know, because in Mother Nature, normally she does all this rock work, right? She does all these different combinations of things, and you wouldn't have to do the antenna thing. what happens?
Well, and that kind of really, fits with Cheryl's question here. What determines the minerals that should be added to our compost? It's International Compost Awareness Week. So, okay, that's cool. Haven't seen minerals mentioned much in making compost. So, Andy, is do we have some kind of a list of minerals we should be adding? Like I would suggest C90, a little bit of C90.
There are 96 trace minerals your body needs. Human beings can only make 90. C90, SCA 90 is one of them that they have 90 trace minerals. That's because it's an ancient salt deposit. There's salt it's Mother Nature's way of giving us the trace minerals that we need. So you don't want to, if you overdo salt in your compost, it's bad. So you can literally dissolve a little bit of salt in water and distilled water and water with that. I keyed into rock dust. Rock dust, it depends on where it comes from. And so most of them have about 70, 72 trace minerals in there. But if you get a variety of different kinds of rock dust, I myself buy 14 different types of rock dust from around the world. There are a couple of places. So there's a online called remineralization.org. Hey, silly, pull it up, remineralization.org. John Haymaker is a friend of mine, he has agreed many times to be on our show and talk about his book. I have his book, ebook, which I'm happy to give away for free. It's called Remineralization, Survival of the Civilizations. And he talks about how Mother Nature makes the minerals. And it's interesting because he talks about when an ice age happens, what do you think the glaciers do? They crush the rock down to a fine powder. And it depends on where in the world you're getting your rock from. But basalt happens to be one of the rock dusts that I use. It's in a finely 200 mesh. That's what you want because you don't want to wait a lifetime for the rock dust to be eaten by the minerals. If it's really fine, it becomes available really fast. So 14 different types. And if you go online, it gives you sources, what country you're in or what's in the United States or Canada of what's being sold. Because this rock dust is one of the best ways. That's the way Mother Nature does it. And it's very interesting because rock dust is the way Mother Nature does it. And it also works with the frequencies. Mm-hmm. So one of the ways I call it an energy recycler. I make little valves made up of all these different rock dust. You can literally put it in your room and you'll see the difference. You can put it out in your garden. So if you give it to your soil, put it in again, you have to do, it's called trace minerals. Don't be a moron, right?
Exactly. Like you can get a 50-pound bag and that might last you as a farmer for the rest of your life because it's 1 micron.
I still have 49 pounds of this thing. I was just looking at all these guys because I'm going, gee, look at all the different rock dust here. And I use a tiny little bit amount. Like in my 100 gallons of water, I would do maybe half a cup, if that, and dissolve it. What I like to do, have it pre-digested. I run it through my worm juice. And I feed. Yeah. Look, if I feed my worms too much rock dust, they die.
Yeah. Out of balance.
People call me up and said, you said rock dust, I gave it to the worms and they died. Well, lady, you gave them too much rock dust. It's a trace mineral. If trace mineral becomes toxic if you have too much. If we have too much trace mineral in our body, we become toxic. You can't eat too much salt, for example. So it's very important when you make your compost that you imitate Mother Nature. What does Mother Nature use? She has a blend of all these different animals everywhere. I mean, she doesn't just say, okay, horses are good for compost or cows, and that's it. That's all you have to do. No, it's like horses, sheep, you named it, llama, you named the animal, dinosaurs. It's
squirrels, gophers, ants, birds.
That's exactly right. And they all have different trace minerals because their biome is very different. And that's why what Lily says, that's why it's called trace minerals. It's not maximum minerals. It's not super minerals. It's trace. And trace, one of the things I like about biodynamic is trace minerals. 1/1 millionth of a part. 1/1 millionth. That's what they do. And when they do a biodynamic preparation, you're gonna see it's like one. I tell people, the most powerful thing on the planet, an atom. Right? It's an atom. They make an atomic bomb from an atom. Boom.
Yeah.
It's not like a big giant atom, right? The atom is so you have to look at that, and that's important. And so, yeah, you have when you make your compost, you have to. So people make compost and they get the wrong reason why they're making compost. Why are we making compost? We're using it as a medicine for the earth. We're saying to the earth, we're sorry, we're screwing up your compost making. We're going to help you. Because that's what Mother Nature does. She makes compost all the time. Or she's trying to now. It's very difficult to make compost when you have radiation, when you have plastics, when you have toxins. Toxins destroys the biology. You can't have sterile compost. When you go to the store, they buy sterilized compost. When you buy earthworm casting, they sterilize it, so they kill all the biology in there, right? They kill all the eggs in there. And you have this sterilized product. It's still better than not, because it does have the trace minerals in it. You see, so when you make compost, you think I'm recycling. That's why I make compost. No, you're making compost as a medicine for the soil.
Well, and let me add something to that, Andy, because a lot of people, you're making your compost and you're putting it on your soil and that, and Andy's very right. It's medicinal for the soil. But the other side of the more scientific side is particle size. If you put a full leaf in your soil, it's not going to do a lot. Yet if you put all of the molecules from that leaf that's been broken down in your compost, they are easily used by the biology to build new cells for your plants. So the composting process a lot of it is about breaking down the size of the material to a molecular size.
That's right.
And breaking it apart. So you got, your 10 molecules of molybdenum in your 20 molecules of calcium that goes into this one cell that's not having to be broken down out of the leaf. It's been broken down to a size where it can be used by biology.
When I was in Florida, I developed a way to have compost done in 30 days. And I run it through a shredder. The shredder shredded everything right up into small little pieces. And then the
smaller the better.
And then the biology went through it. And then you gave oxygen to it. So I had a pipe go through the compost pile, forcing oxygen through it. Little, like a bubbler system, except that bubbles through the compost, and the biology would just go nuts, and it would eat everything in there. And you would have this rich compost with the biology and the trace minerals right there. And that's why it works so well, because you put it in the ground. So the ground is not getting this anymore. That's a problem. We're not really doing it. We're not letting Mother Nature make her compost. So we have to do it.
We're spraying it and killing the biology. But I got to bring this joke up from Serena.
Oh, no.
Twice. I had it saved in the back, Serena. What do you get when 134 strawberries are trying to get in the door at the same time? Strawberry jam. Yeah.
I think Serena is doing way too much drugs. That's what I think. I think there's something going on over there, because this person is like, holy cow.
She loves jokes, okay?
But people have to understand, why you make compost in the first place. You make compost to reharmonize, to bring the energy back again. See, that's a reason why you do it. And we talk about weeds all the time, what the purpose of weeds is, to bring the energy back. It's all about reharmonizing. It's all about bringing the energy back again.
Mm-hmm.
So I like calling it cosmic gardening, because you get into your head cosmic energy. You know what I mean? And we have to think of ourselves as antennas. And if we're not getting that cosmic energy, we're not going to be, our bodies is not going to be, we're cosmic beings. We're beings of energy. And not just us, birds, bees, and the flowers and the trees, all are cosmic energies. Even the rocks are cosmic beings, right? And we need different rocks absorb different things. That's the way it is.
Well,
Not
that's where
one
your
rock.
gems, etc., are different colors, different frequencies, different energies.
Right,
It's that combination.
right, right.
It's amazing how this whole system has been put together. There's so much that we think we understand, and we get it partly right. And then somebody says, "Oh yeah, that's gospel. It's got to be this way, this way, this way." Where there's so many different ways to reach the same goal, but we keep interfering with Mother Nature's, what she's taking billions of years to put together. We keep thinking, oh, hey, us, people that live for 50 or 60 or 100 years, oh, we can do it better. We know more than, a system that's been billions of years in development.
So one of the things when I started doing gem elixirs, I realized, okay, a ruby is one specific frequency, or an emerald or a diamond. They're one specific frequency. But if you take those together, if we take them together, then you have a multiple frequency. I want to answer Serena's about the fermentation, right? Okay. Yeah. So what I do is I use my worm farm. My worm leachate is what I use to ferment everything with. You see me? Mm-hmm. So I feed. So I have this mixture that goes into the worm bed, right? And out comes this heavily biologically active, minerally rich product that the biology has been doing the fermenting with. And then there are other things that we can talk about down the road, which I didn't put in your list of things we're going to be doing. So I'm going to have to, before I'm done here, I'm going to have to update that list again, because I've been doing on my channel, for example, wheat, for example, white rice. I've been using, when I was giving the talk in Fayetteville, Arkansas, the guy who did effective microorganisms, we were talking, the Korean farming. You take rice and there's a way to ferment it, and that fermentation is, what's in the rice, right? You can say it. Go ahead. Rice.
The lactic acid bacteria.
There you go. See, that's a specific type of biology. And so when you use wheat, that's a specific type of biology. I've discovered that wheat takes longer to be broken down by the biology, and rice is instantly rice is instantly absorbed by the biology. Instantly, they get it. It's major. They double, they triple. And what makes it work is that you have a way. I bubble everything. I ferment and bubble them all together. Doubles.
Cooked rice, guys, not the raw rice. Andy, you got to be more specific, brother. Oh, yeah, dribble. But yeah, guys, you can take, the rock itself, or you can powder it, and it's the same with a seed, like your rice grain. If you cook it, it turns it to more mushy. It's more bioavailable. The biology can get in and eat it, where the raw rice it can't. So just to make sure people understand, it's that broken down part already. It's composted by cooking it, because you're breaking the cell structure apart.
So there are other things that I use. So I like making sprouts. So you have filtered water, you soak the sprouts overnight. So we have this fermented product that comes from the sprouts. People throw that away. So when I was in my youth, I was with a guy named Victor Konvinskas. He wrote a book, Survival in the 21st Century, which everybody should get. And he calls it Rejuvelac, because the seed, what happens, that liquid is the most important part. Because remember, you talk about it a lot. When your seed have within them, that's why you don't feed the seeds to grow, because they have everything they need, all the minerals, everything they need when they release it, right? So when they release it into the water, you drink that, or you can use it to ferment other products with it, right? And that's very interesting, and that's what you want. If you don't ferment it, then you're missing out on the way Mother Nature ferments stuff easily. I can easily turn milk into it ferments, right? The milk does it all by itself. The only problem with milk, I'm having is that fat is heavily absorbs chemicals, heavily absorbs toxins.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
even an organic.
We need that fat for our brains.
Yeah, and we're getting
is
toxins
really-
right.
Yeah,
I was reading about this 13-year-old kid who died of dementia.
yeah,
Right. So it's not an age it's not an age. It has to do with cadmium, mercury, lead, arsenic. These are things that are heavily absorbed by fat.
yeah.
And when we eat something with that fat, it goes straight to our brains. And the
Mhm.
body goes, okay, I'm done. Right?
Well, our brains need that fat. So yeah, it goes straight to our brains to feed our brains. But if you're drawing in, all of these heavy metals with it, that's where there's a serious issue.
Because it's not like mercury, lead, calcium, mercury are bad. We get them in super duper trace amounts.
Yeah.
See, but we can visually see them in a microscope. Oh, look at these guys, right? That's when it becomes toxins, you see, because it gets super concentrated. That's one of the things about rice. If it's not organically grown, rice is in water, and the water absorbs these toxins, which then is absorbed by the rice.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have organically grown rice, you're going to get arsenic, mercury, lead in the amount that are too much.
So what fat source do you use, Andy?
Well, one of the things I do is called ghee, Ghee.
Yeah, clarified butter.
Clarified butter, and it's organic. And so I've learned, through the clarification process, it almost eliminates these toxins. They test for toxins all the time, and you find it's almost gone. It still has them in there. It's very, very difficult. But I also, they're fat from plant-based fat. Again, you have to be careful that it's organic. But even nowadays, I'm finding out everything's organic. So you have a toxic neighbor, right? And you have an organic field over here. Your organic product is going to be toxic as well. See, right? So it's very different. What does Andy use to make Rejuvenac? Oh, well, it's sprouts. So there's lots of different sprouts. I like broccoli sprouts, sunflower sprouts, and these are organically grown. So you know that the sprouts don't have the toxins in them, and you make the liquid and you drink. I drink the liquid, but I have the plant looking at me. Can I have some of that? You give it to the plant, right? And I also put the liquid in the worm casting to the worms, right? The worms get the Rejuvenac as well because they get that biology. A lot of times I would put it in my liquid, so I get the liquids out and I put it right into my liquids, which then gets bubbles and then goes out to the customers.
Okay, so that was the second part of her question here is recommending giving plant Rejuvenac, not just humans. And the thing is, Cheryl, if you've done Korean natural farming, say the lactic acid bacteria, it's 1 to 1,000 or 1 to 500 parts. And it's the same with something like Rejuvenac that you're creating. And I've been saying for a long time, if you're doing sprouts, that water is full of life. It's full of biology, because when your seed pops open, it shoots out a certain biology for that plant. And if you're taking that water and giving it to your plant, it's the most concentrated life that you can get out of a seed in that water. So you want to use that water.
And that is what that lady who talked about who's getting over from pneumonia, that is probably the single one thing that she can do. She's not doing sprouts, but she should do the sprouts. Do not throw the water away. And you want to add a dash of lemon juice to that. The lemon juice makes it even more bioavailable, and your body will absorb that, because we're used. Think about it. We eventually in our old days, we were running around. We didn't just eat meat. We ate all kinds of leaves, all kinds of plants.
Yeah, nut fruits and nuts. Now, The last question, guys, 'cause we're just about out of time. Andy, do you get your ghee at a normal grocery store?
Yeah, you'll learn they'll say organically grown. There are certain brands that are really good. You need to do your research because nowadays the brands are being bought by other companies and they change the product. So you have to stick to the brand that you know that do certify that they do it right. And ghee is a very important part of my life. I use it for cooking. I add it to coffee. Coffee is another source. If you're not careful, chemically grown coffee, it's very, very bad. We're ingesting all kinds of chemicals into our body, and it's going right to our stomach, right to our brains. And then look at me. Look at I'm 127 years old.
And you look it.
Hey, look at
I should have said that. But guys, I mean, excuse me. I'm going to hit one more here. I have to be careful about consuming anything fermented since I have epilepsy. We're not doctors or anything, but I don't know where the correlation of epilepsy and fermented food would be.
Sugar.
The
sugar level increases so fast that the brain is sugar heavy. It really needs sugar. But if the control systems are out of whack, it'll get more sugar than you need. All of a sudden, you start going, and your brain doesn't know how to deal with it. And so you need to be able to. There's a name for it, that your body just does not handle sugar too well, and so the fermentation process is very difficult for you to do. And there's a way you can heal that by regulating. So there are lots of natural things you could do to your body that you can buy, which help in the regulation of that. I do what is it? I've forgotten it. But there's several different things that you can buy that are natural, and I can't think of it right now because I have so many different things. But there's alcohol in fermented foods. Yeah, that's why I don't eat wheat, because it causes alcohol. Sugar causes alcohol.
But guys, as Lily had pointed out, always consult a healthcare professional, because we're not healthcare professionals.
Yeah.
It's we don't want to get into trouble saying to do something and it harms you. So
I use cloves.
Yeah. Well, they're saying cloves and coffee is something that's really good. I know Lily's been after me about that.
I use turmeric. I use all those things. But you want to have a blend. And again, in Mother Nature, you don't eat any one thing. And so people are so toxic these days that you have to step back a little bit and try to go back to Mother Nature as best as you can. Very, very difficult. And epilepsy, to me, has a connection with your eyes. It's something that, yes, nothing is organic anymore these days, because companies are buying the companies out that says organic, and they change them cheaper. I know one company that sells organic eggs was bought out by another company. Those eggs, they didn't change the label, didn't change anything, but they inject into the egg something that makes them look like they're organic. So you're going to go, oh, okay, great, wonderful. So that's what you have to do. You have to go to farmers market, know the people that you're buying from. I would follow them home and see, let's see what you're doing. So thank you very much, guys. Well, look, what are we doing next week? You got that? You know what that is?
Well, you changed the titles, so I'm not sure. So
it's in your phone.
Oh yeah, but I'm not supposed to put my phone close to my head.
You can look at it. That's why you have eyes for.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week, guys.
Yeah.
Please go to my website, invisiblegardener.com. Sign up for my newsletter. If you want to get my free Don't Panic, It's Organic ebook, I have a refractometer book, all kinds of really cool ebooks that you can get for free for now. Just mentioned, it's all about the biology.
And as for tomorrow, for Chiropractic is Sexy, their title is, Are You Truly Healthy or Just Not Sick? There you go for that one. And We know we have the show on Sunday with Dr. Paula Ruffin.
Yeah,
And then on Monday, we have Gardner Scott coming on with Leighton Morrison. So that's for the rest of this week, guys. We will see you next week on It's All About the Biology channel.
Bye. Bye now.
Garden the Untold Story.